Today we are going to solve LeetCode 20, which is called valid parentheses. So the question is, given a string s containing just characters, left bracket, right bracket, left curly, right curly, etc. Determine if the input string is valid. So what is a valid string? A string is valid when open brackets are closed by the same type of brackets, and open brackets are closed in the correct order. So let me show you something like in incorrect order. So let's say we have something like this, and we open another thing, and when we close this, we cannot do this. Although all open brackets are closed, we do not have the correct order. And something like this is also not valid because it doesn't have correct number of brackets that are opened. So what can we do? Basically, this problem is very well known, and the solution includes a stack. So whenever we see an opening bracket, which are like this bracket, left curly bracket, and this bracket over here. So these three, whenever we see them, we are going to push them to a stack, or we just push some numbers representing them. It could be 1, -1, 0, or like themselves, right? So whenever we see the other ones, the closing brackets, like this one, or this one, what we are going to do is we are going to check if the stack is empty, because if the stack is empty, then it would mean that we have already finished all the things that we have. So let's just run an example over here, and then we are just going to jump into the code. So let's say this is our input, right? So we see something like this on the first index. Then we are just going to do, let's say this is our thing stack. So we are going to push left bracket, and we are just going to wait. And we just come back here. We were here, and now we are here. We see that it is a closing bracket, so we just check the last element on the stack. If that is an opening bracket, then we are in correct order and we are closing a bracket. So we are just going to pop this out, and we are just going to increase the index. And let us make it better. Yeah. Then we see another opening bracket, which is a curly bracket over here. Then we put this into the stack, push it basically, and then we move on, and we see another one, which is a closing curly bracket, and we pop this out because it is closing this valid part of parentheses. Then we just move on to here, and we see that it is a closing bracket, but our stack is empty. So this means that our string is invalid. Okay, so let us see if it was a valid string, like this one. This is a valid string. So let's run this again. We are right here. So we see an opening bracket, so we put it inside, right? And then we move, and we see another opening bracket, so we put another opening bracket, right? And we move, and we see that it is a closing bracket, so we pop this one out because it is equal to the opposing side of this thing. Then we move on. It's an opening bracket, so we put this inside, and we move on, and we see that this is a closing curly bracket which pops this out. And then we move on, and we see something, a curly, no, not curly, a closing bracket which pops this out. And then we are out of the string, and our stack is empty, which means we have a valid answer over here. So let's try to code this idea, and basically we just run through all the string just once. So the answer is found in on time, and as we use a stack, the answer also requires on space. Time and space. Okay, so hopefully I will not write code in this speed. Okay, so let's just check if the string string size is 0, because if it is 0, the answer is already true, right? We can write a generic code, but why do we keep all this stack after all? So let's say we have a stack, and we can call it, it could be a character stack. Let's call it st. And let's just start iterating. I is equal to 0, I is smaller than stat size, and I increases. So let's check if the element on si is equal to something like this, right? Or we have 3 different choices over here. It could be an opening curly bracket right here. Okay, so we have 3 different choices. If these are the things that we are taking care of, so what we're going to do is we are just going to push them into the stack. So we are just going to push si because we do not need to explicitly represent them here. Okay, so that is what we do. We just push them inside the stack whenever we see them. So what if we see something else, like any other bracket, and they say that the string contains the characters, the opening ones and closing ones only. So if this is not the case, then closing ones the case. So this is opening brackets, and this is going to be closing brackets. So here in this case, what we are going to do is, if we are going to check if the stack is empty or not. If the stack empty not, which means stack has some characters and they should be some this opening brackets, right? So if the stack is not empty, what we are going to do is we are going to check if the stack's top, like if the stack's top is equal to an opening thing. Oh, sorry, we are looking at stack top. Yeah, we don't need that. If the stack's top is like this opening bracket, and our element, our character at ith index is equal to this closing case, right? Then what we are going to do is we are just going to pop the stack, right? Because we have a match over here. And we might have something like this for each case. And this is another one, this is going to be, and I'm going to code just another one here. And it's also going to be an else if. So this is, let's say, curly, oh, sorry, not curly. I call this curly, I do not remember the name for this, but you get the idea. So this is going to be the curly one right here. And if this is the case, what we do is we are just going to pop the stack. We could just write one long if, but I did not want to do that. So if these are the case, we are good. If this is not the case, which means we do not have a match, then what we are going to do is we are just going to return false, because that means our string is invalid, right? So what else? If the stack is not empty and we have a closing character, we do this. But if the stack is empty, then what we are going to do? Then we have a position like this, right? We just have one opening and let's say 2 closing. This pops this one out, and we just have a closing character, which means this is invalid. So what we are going to do is we are just going to return false here as well. So after all these operations, we will have either an empty stack, right, or not. So if our stack is empty, then we will return true, because otherwise our stack would not be empty, or we would have already returned false. So what are we going to do is we are going to return false otherwise, which means our stack is not empty. It is a situation like this, let's say. So we have opening brackets, and one of them pops this one out, but we still have some brackets and they are already on the stack, and the stack is not empty, so we return false. So let's try if this works. I hope we did not just lose some edge cases. What's going on? So we did this apparently inside for loop. We should not have done that. Let's get this one out and put this here. Yeah, we should be good. So it works for this pretty easy case. Let's say we have an open string. So yeah, actually we did not even need this edge case because it says the string has a length greater than or equal to 1, which means we do not have empty string over here. So let's say we have something like this, and let's say let's see what it will return. It should return false. It's invalid. So let's submit the code. And yeah, it's pretty fast and it works. So I hope you get the idea. This stack idea is used a lot. You will see a lot of medium or hard questions later. So thank you for watching.